Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we're now joined by Level 2 coach Lance Richardson for his season kickoff meeting and preview. This segment will be brought to you by PC Sports and Locker Room, baseball and softball training facility outside Maquoketa here, helping train all our young athletes and high school athletes for the upcoming season. So, Lance, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, how are practices going so far?
They're interesting. They are very interesting, to say the least. Not having our, core group together, missing a few with soccer, makes it a little bit difficult. Just knowing that those soccer kids are going to be pretty dependable once season starts, and they're not here to be able to get those reps in. Makes it a little difficult, but we're getting the work in, that we need to get in, and I think we're headed in the right direction as far as what we have and what we got coming up. So
I think the most difficult thing for maybe, and everybody doesn't understand this, but for a level 2 coach, you're never quite sure what your roster is going to be on the opening day, not just because of the kids that are coming and going with other sports, but you're not sure which kids are going to be really assigned. Who is varsity going to need right away? Yep. As they need players, they'll dip into what you got, and then or the level 3 team, what players they need to fill out their roster. So I feel like the level 2 team is always one that's kind of a little bit fluid,
right,
and ever changing. So I think that's difficult as a coach.
Very difficult, because you never know what 10 or 11 guys you're going to be able to travel with, and you don't really know what your lineup's going to look like day in and day out. But we're doing a little different this year. We're actually going to play a combined schedule where level 2, level 3 is going to travel together. That way we can take 17, 18 kids per road trip, or home games. Just keep those kids in the dugout. Level 2 roster, level 2 games, will be specifically those level 2 players, and then we'll put the best 9 on the field for that level 3 game, and just try to build a winning culture from the ground up with these younger groups, just to kind of put a winning program together.
Yeah, I think it's important that I like the scheduling now. I like, there's very few, I don't think there's any days where level 2 and level 3 play on the same day.
No.
And there's very few days where level 2 and varsity play on the same day. Spread the games out. There's not as many games per week. Maybe a few less scheduled games at each level, but that allows the players, like you mentioned, to be a little more fluid.
Right.
And the other thing I mentioned, I think level 2 is really that caliber of player that you're trying to get ready for the varsity level, whether it be late season call-ups or to prepare them for next season. These are the next guys, and they need to be put in some of these maybe higher pressure situations.
Right. Those are the kids that we really want to kind of progress their development a little quicker than the others. I'm not sure we've got too many right now that are really ready for that. But I think once we get rolling in the season here, I'm going to be surprised on a few of them. I think a few of them are going to really step up here.
Yeah, I think in sports, and we kind of talked about this in the softball show, sports right now in general is teams are young. You're pulling up young kids, not because they're absolute standouts at the lower levels, but, man, it's a numbers game.
It's a necessity.
Yeah, you're pulling them up out of necessity to fill a spot, and it may not even be a starting role, but you're filling them up you're pulling them up to fill spots. But like you mentioned, I think this level 2 team this year, I think, is taking shape. And I don't know all the players that you're going to have on level 2, but I have a general sense of most of them. And I think the level 2 team is looking pretty good.
We should be able to string some wins together this year. I know we were competitive last year. We lost a lot of one-run games. We didn't really get blown out in anything. We just had a really tough schedule, mixing with level 3 there, to where we just ran out of arms. We had some times where our pitchers couldn't find the zone, and we had to make do with what we had as far as sharing pitchers. Hey, level 3 is going to need this guy that day. I'm going to need this guy this day. Or I come to the field getting ready to get on the bus and find out that the starter that I wanted that day threw 45 pitches the night before, so I couldn't use him. And we were pretty hamstringed with what we had last year, but we were not high in numbers, this year, but we've got a good group of kids, a good solid. I think we're going to end up with about 21 kids between the two levels this year. So we're not going to be struggling as far as what 11 or 12 am I going to take, what 9 are going to stay back. When it comes to practice time, now we'll be able to have good practices. We're not going to be to where last year if I played, away game, level 3 was home and they only had 6 kids here for practice. We'll be able to do all that together this year and really, really get something out of it.
Yeah, and I think just my general feeling is I think you're going to be a little deeper pitching this year.
Yeah.
I also think what really helps is this year there's a lot of 8th graders that went out.
Yeah, we had 11 kids.
Yeah,
this
and
year.
Last couple of years we haven't had that kind of number. So I applaud that group for sticking together. That played a lot of youth baseball together, and every one of them went out. So it's nice to see that. Just adds that depth. Those kids are gonna play a lot of level 3, some level 2. I would anticipate you're probably gonna get every kid's probably gonna get 25 to 30 games. I would anticipate.
I would say I think between both levels we've got 44 games scheduled. Doc and I have discussed what we're going to do, but as far as, once we start getting into games, we'll start making, there's going to be other things that are going to fall into place for us. There's a few kids that, this is their first year or, this is their second year playing ever. So, those are kids that are just a little raw. But, seeing them out it's just nice to see them out here wanting to do something instead of, just sitting at home.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of free time in the summer,
Oh,
right?
absolutely,
There's,
yeah.
A couple hours of baseball a day doesn't really interrupt it that much.
No, not at all.
So, season starts for you next Thursday for level 2, right?
We got a level 3 game Tuesday, a level 3
night,
game Thursday. Level 3 game Thursday, and then a level 2 game on Friday.
Okay, so 2 level 2
Right.
3s before the level 2
Right,
game.
right.
Okay.
So we'll use that first game of those level 3 with our level 2 kids, just to get them primed up here going into Friday with DeWitt to open up with DeWitt.
And it's always fun for the kids playing DeWitt, and that first
Yeah.
week, a lot of them know each other, and played each other throughout the youth games. So those are always fun.
Yeah, they'll be competitive.
Dale, what are your thoughts so far? I know you're watching the varsity practice here, but have you seen much of the level 2, 3?
I haven't. I have not. Curious as to who do you got that might stand out?
I think Owen Powers is going to surprise some people this year. He's dedicated himself to baseball. He was one of those kids that came out a spring league, did the hit tracks league. He's worked his tail off, and he doesn't want to rush his progression. So that's what I like about him. If he's got a question, he looks for answers. He's not one of those kids that struggles to make it right. If he boots a ball, he comes and figures out why he booted that ball. Or if he takes a bad angle or a bad swing, he asks the question on, hey, what did you see? And he tries to get those corrections fixed. But I think having him and Casey, flip-flopping there in our middle infield, I think they're gonna do some great work together this year.
Well, I saw Owen last weekend. I took some of the kids up and played, as you know, and Owen really had some nice swings throughout the day.
Yeah.
Had a lot of success hitting. Looked very athletic in the box. I attribute good hitters to their approach, and that's even in their stance. And he just really had a nice approach at the plate. Good athletic stance, good balance. Played multiple positions, pitched. He's a kid that can play any one of the infield spots.
Yes.
He can pitch. I'm sure he could play some outfield. I don't know if he's ever played much of it, but I know that.
I had him. I gave him a few innings there last year, just when we were shorthanded. But I see him as a foreseeable, probably third baseman, eventually. Just because he's going to grow into that body of his.
Well, yeah, and he's grown probably 6 inches.
He grew
year.
quite a
He's
bit
just
since
he's
last
a
season.
Different kid than he
Right,
was last
right.
year. And
And last year from the shortstop position, he had quite he had a long arm slot. Didn't have really a whole lot of velocity behind his throws, but that year off,
his
just in the development process, he's able to turn himself into quite the middle infielder there.
I would agree. He's developed. And the nice thing is you got some some years you may have a plethora of infielders and you lack some outfielders. And this year it seems like, and just I know a lot of the kids, but watching practice, you got a little bit of both.
Right, we're pretty balanced this year. And the nice thing is this year we've got a pretty sustainable catcher. And with Johnny Burns, he's worked hard at it, and he does a darn good job. And I'm very pleased with the way he's handling that role. And last year I kind of got thrown in for a loop with losing Mitchell, being my supposed level 2 starting pitcher, and then my starting catcher. So I had to Sean Swanson took over that role last year, just kind of threw him to the wolves. It was unfortunate, but he held his own back there. This year it'll be more of a Johnny Sean Swanson type rotation. But I think Johnny, with the way he's working, I think he's going to earn pretty much all those reps back there this year.
He works very hard at blocking, and man, he really cares. I think that goes a long way towards development. He really cares, and he does work hard.
Oh, very hard.
And he's one too that he's grown a lot in the last year. He's grown into his body. His arm is getting stronger.
Yeah, he's got some development to do yet, but I think he's only an 8th grader too. So I mean, he's still raw with his movements, but I mean he's never really been coached those movements.
Yeah.
So I mean, and he's one of those kids that catch on really quick, and he asks a lot of questions. What should I do here? This situation type stuff. When I was talking to him preseason, he came out to the facility a little bit. I got an opportunity to work with him, and I told him, basically, we lost probably 12 games on that right side ball scoot last year. If you can conquer that right side movement there, blocking those drop third strikes, things of that nature, we're 12 games ahead than we were last year. So kind of gave him a little challenge.
Yeah, I think he'll take that to heart. And,
And
then you've got, I hate to overlook some of the sophomores that are playing. Daniel Coyle is a very nice player.
I really like that kid. I like that kid. I think Daniel Coyle could benefit the varsity right now. And I foresee him probably making that move up here, probably midway through the season.
Yeah.
He's bigger, faster, stronger. We did some first to thirds running the other day, and that kid can book. He wasn't like that last year. It took me 3/4 of the season before I got a smile out of him.
Yeah.
And he was just as happy as could be the other day. So I know his demeanor's completely changed. And then we were doing some live stuff, and he could stroke it a little bit.
He can. So I coached him coming up, through youth baseball, and he always hit second or fourth for me.
Mm-hmm.
Can do a lot of nice things with the bat. He hits for surprising power for his size, and like you said, he's got some speed, and he's athletic enough at times. When I was desperate, I'd put him at shortstop, even though he's a left-handed thrower. I'd put him out there because he could make the plays and make the throws. And as a pitcher, he was always deceiving.
Yep.
When he was younger, he could hit that outside corner. People wouldn't swing. They were fooled by his pitches. So
he hides that ball real well, and he falls off to his glove side quite a bit, being a left-hander. But he doesn't pull that ball with him as he falls off. That ball stays outside with him. So, he's a kid that's going to see quite a few innings this year. He'll be a staple in my outfield, and and he'll probably see some innings at first base also.
Yeah.
Another Colin Tracy, who I know relatively little about him. He's another sophomore that's going to be playing. Logan Sklazine, I had him last year as a freshman. He'll see significant time. Those are the only 3 sophomores we got.
Steven
Mask. I forgot about Steven. That's my apologies, Steven. But he'll be probably a state. He does good work over at first base.
He's another hard worker.
Yeah, works really hard.
One thing I'd say about all those guys is they really care. They care about the game. They care about how they're performing. Even Logan. I coached him some too, and he was always a hard worker, willing to dive for the ball.
Yeah.
Team player. He'd do whatever it takes. Type of guy. And boy, you love having guys like that on the team.
Yeah, he's just one of those kids. He's not the most athletic, but he just loves to be out here. And you can see it more this year than last year with his demeanor and his attitude. I mean, he's one of those kids you just like to have around.
Well, let's talk PC sports. That's the only reason you wanted to do this was to plug that business. I know that.
You haven't even been out there yet.
I have not.
You have not.
I have not. I will. I promise I will.
Well, I'm open.
Well, I will. I'm thinking about coming out and shooting commercials out there.
Come out and shoot some commercials.
Well,
5,000 square
I'm
foot,
still,
you can work it.
like I said before, I'm still waiting on the paperwork, the ink to get put on there and dry.
I'll give you a good lawyer. You can go to mine.
Well, I'm starting to think we better call Saul.
He'd get it done. He'd get it done.
You got a lawyer up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, PC sports, new adventure for you.
Yeah, I got out of the bat business here last February, and it provided me the opportunity to do something I was really passionate about, and I was able to find the funding to get this done. I partnered with a great guy, Chad Christensen, who allowed me to basically take over half of his machine shed for his farm equipment, and we put a 5,000 square foot fully functional facility in there. 5 cages, pitching mounds. We're able to do pretty much whatever we need to do to help the developmental process with some of these kids. Plan is for the future, just be able to run, year-round, baseball clinics, whatever it would be. I'd like to be able to get started on like indoor T-ball, coach pitch type stuff. I'm big enough to do that. It'll be a little condensed, but they'd be able to get proper instruction and not really, not to say anything about the why or anything, but to be able to have more structured, practices type stuff, and really get those kids involved early, because we're missing out. There's a lot of kids that aren't playing that should be playing at that younger age. We're really low in numbers at that younger age, and I really want to get them involved.
Hey guys, I hate to cut out short, but Joey's out here waiting for me. I got to run. But Lance, I appreciate the time.
Yeah, not a problem.
And the insight, and looking forward to the season. Obviously, I've got a kid that will probably be playing a little bit with you, and some with Doc, and then another one at the varsity level. So I've got a busy slate too, but really looking forward to it. And I also want to talk to you about offline about some things I want to do with my other youth team out there at
good.
PC Sports and Locker Room. Maybe cater a package to what I'm looking for. So
We can do that.
all right,
Sure
thank
do
you.
that. Yep, thanks.
Huh? Yeah. Well, any final thoughts you have on your upcoming season?
I'm excited to get going. These 3 weeks they've been exciting, to start, to get this process moving, but nothing compares to actually getting games in. So, being inside pretty much that first week, getting these last 2 weeks outside, getting to see what our kids can do, who's going to be where, kind of, but we're not really going to know for sure until Tuesday rolls around on what exactly we're going to do here. But, I'm excited for the future, what's coming up with this program. We talked earlier, we've got 11 eighth graders right now. We got a good, strong, 7 or 8 freshman group. And I think as far as 7th graders, that'll be coming up, after the 8th grade or in their 8th grade season. I think we've got another, 10 or 11 of those kids. So numbers are going to start increasing. We're going to start getting some athletes and some kids who have been playing baseball together for a long time. So, it's exciting. The next couple of years are going to be real exciting around here.
That's good. Well, good luck.
Thanks.
We'll be talking on and off during the season too. We're gonna cover some level 2 and level 3 games as well.
Fantastic.
So we're looking forward to that, and it's gonna be a busy summer for all of us. I think
It's going to be a hot summer.
Don't say that.
It's going to be hot.
Well, maybe I'll make my daughter do all them noon games.
We got a couple 5 o'clocks in there with Solon and I think DeWitt also. So.
Yep. All right. Well, appreciate the time, and good luck.
Yeah, I can get my kids out of here, and I got a coach pitch game to get to. So
there you go.
ready to rock and
I
roll.
got 2 graduation parties to hit.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, man.